What's happening? Who's feeling that new intro, huh? That's a new show intro. Like it so much, might have to do it twice.
Conditioned by indoctrination, conditioned by society. You're a victim of the digital age, a 21st century casualty. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Conditioned by misinformation, it's just the media telling us lies. Decide the fiction from the truth. Society's full and tragic demise. Open your eyes, you're losing control. Open your eyes, put down the phone. Everyone's got their fucking opinion.
Well, there you go. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Thank you, Ryan. I have to mix it up every once in a while, you know? Gotta, you know. Look at it, you know, my kid did that. Caleb put that together. He put the first one together. And looking at the old one, it was like, it's a little dated, you know? So wanted to get some new faces in there and get some new music. That is Incendiary Device. Think for yourself, if you're wondering. So there you go. What's up, Rich Zoller? What's up, Larry Kelly? What's up, Thorsten? That's right. Hi, Gina. I hope that you are well. Ryan Bland Ake, my man. Good to see you. Jose Leston, the gang's all here. Good. James Hollis, Chris Hoffman, Darren. What do you want me to tell you, man? You know, why are we here? Let me tell you why we're here. Hey, why are we here?
Why are we here?
Wait a second. It's Chris Hoffman, it's your birthday today?
Another
you know
one.
what? You know what? Before we get before we get into birthday stuff, right?
Right.
Before we get into anything from Jump Street, right from Jump Street, it's a big shout out day. You know, I want to dedicate this show. The first thing out of the box, man, I want to shout this dude out. This guy right here is getting hard shout out right here. You know, this is the guy right here. Lou Koller went public with some of his health issues. It was heart-wrenching to hear Lou, man. I gotta say, Lou manned up. Lou just manned up. I have a lot of respect for him. He just sat down, stared the camera right in the eye, and just laid it out. It took a lot of guts, and that's one of the. That's I couldn't tell you. He's a nicer guy. He is an architect. He is an absolute architect of this thing of ours, and one of the good guys. One of the good guys. And I'm proud to consider him a friend. So, yeah.
Couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
I mean, truly one of the legends of our scene, and and supporters. Guy, whenever he's home, he comes to the shows.
I've known dude a long time. He's one of the greats.
Oh, for sure.
Yes, Mark Tulch. He's an A1 guy. Yes, Gina. Absolutely. It's time for our community to give back. Well, Gina's referring to there is a GoFundMe. If you don't know, there is a GoFundMe, to help Lou out. Yes, Drew. Hey, Tim, how are you, buddy? Get well. Yeah, man. It's a long, he's got a long, hard road. Hey, Ralph Renner. Lou. Absolutely, man. One of the all-time greats, man.
Yeah. In one of the hardest working bands ever, Yeah.
Hey, hi, Mountaineer. Don't get ahead of yourself yet, all right? We're going to make our way to Dave Smalley and DYS. Let's hold on there, Skipper. Absolutely one of the nicest people ever. So here's another shot here's one with you and the Koller brothers, There you go.
I love that picture.
Yeah.
just the best people, you know.
You know, Lou looks like as Lou's gotten older, he looks like John Barrymore or Errol Flynn. You know? He's like a handsome Hollywood guy circa 35, you know?
Yeah, now he just I wish him nothing but the best, you know, and you know, really
I talked to him this morning.
Oh, good.
Just yeah. Is that right? He's battling the same type that Adam Yauch had. Wow. Oof. Yep. That said, whose birthday was it?
We got you today.
Oh, his birthday's the 28th, same as mine. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Because you know whose birthday it is today? It is, hold on, let me clear the deck. It's a couple of birthdays today. Let's start with this one. A big happy birthday to this guy right here who's on tour in Europe. Of course, today's Roger Moret's birthday, right?
Yeah.
And he's in Europe. I spoke to Roger this morning also. And, you know, happy birthday, Roger. Another one of the greats. This picture's from when we were recording the Antidote, No Peace in Our Time album. Of course, he came into the studio, him, Vinny, and Mike Gallo, and he did vocals with me on the Black Flag classic Rise Above.
Oh, nice.
So today is Roger's birthday, Roger. And believe it or not, can you believe it? And this is probably why I always felt something really connected to Roger Moret. And because his birthday today, June 30th, is also Arnie Stone's birthday.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's today is Arnie Stone's birthday. There's a shot of you, me, and him.
That's a great shot.
Yeah. So there he is.
Forever young, that guy.
My dad looks like what's his name from Casino. His glasses on, you know. Yes, and I did speak to my dad this morning. I did. I spoke. Happy birthday, Dad. Happy birthday, Roger. And I spoke to Lou. Yep.
And you know what? It's also our friend Jonathan Wiley's birthday as well.
It's Jonathan Wiley's birthday. That's
happy
right.
birthday to him.
Yep.
It's a big birthday in the hardcore world.
Yeah. Here you go. One more. There you go. Oh, that's right. That's right. It's Phil from Pantera's birthday too, and it's Mike Tyson's birthday.
Wow.
You know what?
It's a big one.
Where is my dad? We should get him on the show. Where the fuck is he? He's with my brother. He's with my brother somewhere. Hold on. Where's my brother? Hold on. Get him on the show.
Get some words of wisdom.
You know, my dad don't want to talk about how old he is, you know, so he don't want to come on. You know. It's like, geez, he's 91 today.
Oh, God bless him.
Yeah. Hey, Big Rob, how you doing? So there you go. Was this parked in front of your house? This thing? This was in front of your house?
Oh, shit. No.
What was that?
That was in front of my godson's house yesterday. And it was in like I got out of the car and I was like, I'm like, what am I even looking at? That's the Cybertruck, the Tesla. It looks like something out of Logan's Run.
It's a Tesla?
That's a Tesla.
Yeah, I see them around, man.
I couldn't help myself. I had to add a little decoration to it. So, yeah. But I thought it was really cool, like up close. And when you look inside it, it looks like, and you know, the funny thing is the guy's license plate just said space with like 4 A's in the middle. And there were 2 more Teslas on the block. So which was kind of, I think you could see one in the driveway there, but it was, I thought this thing was super cool looking. I mean, nobody else liked it, but I thought it was cool.
I don't know what to make of those things.
It looks like something out of an 80s sci-fi movie.
Is that right, Ralph? You saw enough. Listen, it doesn't surprise me that you saw on the side of the road in Troy, everything's burning. Troy. There's no place on the planet Earth like Troy, New York. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating to look at. And when the interior is just the wheel and there's no other anything, it's all computer. Like it's, I'd love to test drive one.
Okay, my brother just sent me a picture.
No.
Here they go. I guess they're out and about for my dad's 90th in Florida. So here they are, my brother Evan B. Stone and the one and the only Arnie Stone. There they go. Right?
There he is.
Yep. So happy birthday, Arnie Stone. We shipped my brother down there to spend some time with him.
That's great, though.
You know,
should have told him to bring Shatner with him.
I told you the Shatner, my brother, I'm sure I've told the story before. I'll tell it again. My brother was working with Josh Gates from Expedition Unknown, something with William Shatner. I don't know if it was Expedition Unknown, but it was some other thing. And they were like traveling with William Shatner, like private jet, the whole thing, you know? And my brother and Josh Gates are big Trekkies, right? And so they were sort of trying to ask a question here and there. But the way my brother tells me is that they got on this jet with William Shatner, and Shatner turned to and said to them both, he said, 20 minutes, Star Trek, go. and they did, they super nerded out on, like when you fought the Gorn, like, the Tribbles, like.
Could you imagine what people would pay for that 20 minutes? Some of these people.
Hey, Jimmy Ferrari, what's happening?
Jimmy,
well done job with the Eddie Sutton tribute. Very well done. Really. Yep. So that's it. Yeah. Okay, I see our guest is sort of making his way to the seat. Today's format's a little loose here. Our guest has been on before. Ask questions along the way. Let's take the horse, take the horse where it leads us once we bring our guest on. So that's it. Anybody you want to shout out? Anybody?
No, I'm good.
We'll get to those.
Good. You know what? Actually, we did our shout out, obviously, to Lou and everybody. And you know what I will say is that it's kind of blowing my mind that it's already a year since we did the big Biohazard Irving Plaza reunions.
Yeah.
Like that was like such a big moment. And I just saw the memory pop up. I was like, Jesus, that's a year ago already.
They're coming back from Europe today. I got to talk to them.
Hopefully we'll do some New York shows.
Yeah, there'll be another one.
So,
all right, brother. I'll talk to you soon. And we're back. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, and we are sponsored by New York Hardcore Comics, The Organic Grill, The Texas Silver Rush, D TFM Vinyl Distro, Generation Records, 126 Hardcore Clothing, and Mad Vintage. Mad Vintage buys, sells, and collects band shirts, primarily hardcore. The DIY operation was started and is operated by a hardcore kid who just loves collecting and eventually got into vintage clothing, specifically the realm of vintage band t-shirts. They are always looking to buy out collections to either keep, sell, or trade. New shirts added daily at www.madvintage.com and posted on Instagram. Dig deep into that closet of crap. Reach out to them. Help me help you. www.madvintage.com. That said, let's clear the deck. Let's bring our guest on. Is everybody okay? Everybody seems okay. Good. Here we go. Let's clear the deck. What the heck? And away we go. Today's guest is an American musician hailing from the mother of presidents state of Virginia. He is known for his influence on pop punk music and his early contributions to the emo genre. In his proficient career, he's known for his work with the bands DYS, Dag Nasty, All, Don't Sleep, and of course, Down by Law. Please welcome our old friend and cohort, the golden voice of hardcore, Mr. Dave Smalley. Hey!
Hey, guys. How are you? Good to see you, Drew.
Good to see you, buddy. How you doing?
Doing okay, man. Thank you. Happy birthday to your dad and to our mutual brother, Roger. Those are two big ones, you know. So
yeah,
if they're watching right now, happy birthday. Much love.
You know, I want to start out with this because we'll get into, hey, how you doing? How you feeling? How's your health doing? But, you know, this one photo kept popping up for me. And I know we might be recovering some ground from when you were on the show the first time, but who cares, right?
Yeah,
I was thinking.
I can't remember what I had for breakfast this morning, right? So people long forget stuff like that. Happy to do it.
So I was thinking about how long we've known each other, and this photo, when it pops up, is kind of a testament to that. This is a
there we are
from 1981 at the Media Workshop in Boston. I am on the right in the combat boots and sweatpants, and you are to my right. We are back to back in the trenches in 1981.
That's a great picture, man. I don't know who took that. Was that a Gale picture or a Phil picture? Or?
No, I think it's a Phil. I think it's a Phil and Flash picture. Pretty sure.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah,
awesome.
And you can see directly behind me is Steve Grimes from the FU, and next to him is Choke from Negative Effects and Slapshot, and you see Springer back there. But yeah, it's
Pat over on your left, right? Isn't that Pat
right.
Standing and looking? Pat Rafter. Yeah.
Yep, that's Pat next to Springer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think in the on the top left that might be Johnny Blue Tile. And
yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. Looks right.
Yep. Yeah, this is
great memories.
This was the look back then. Sweatpants and combat boots. This is what I dared, my fashion statement, you know.
Yeah, no, it was great. So I'll give you, and this was just for the audience's awareness. This was not discussed beforehand. This is me talking fresh. I will give you mad props, my brother. I've known you since 1981. And one of the things that has always impressed me about you and your life and your career and your art, both as a singer and as a filmmaker and doing this show and so many other things that you do. But you have always been so freaking distinct. And that starts way back in 1981, 82, when you had a jean jacket. And we all had, Hardcore Rules or, Boston Crew written on the back of our jackets or whatever else. And you had some of that too, don't get me wrong, but you also had Hot Tuna in huge letters on your jean jacket that you would wear around. Nobody did that. And that's what I loved so much about hardcore and punk, was that people could be who they were. And there you were in the middle of all these spike bracelets and leather jackets and all the combat boots in the world, and us getting in scraps all the time with, unfortunately, but you had the Hot Tuna jacket, man. I bow down in your general direction. It was awesome.
Bro, I have a photo. Of this. And it's great, and I gotta find it. Hold on. I just saw it. I got it. Where is it? It's from the New York trip, SSD Irving Plaza, maybe. Oh yeah, here it is. Ha ha. Okay, hold on. This is it. It's dated 11/5/82.
Nice.
Right. Hold on. I'm getting down here. These are great, man. When I scanned these the first time and I was going through Phil's negatives, and I came across all these pictures in my van In 1982, I was like, you got to be kidding me. So hold on.
Yeah, take your time. I would
Here
just
it
say
is.
again, this is part of the joy of really what this was all about. A lot of individuals joining together in, in angst and joy, right? And like, angst over state of things in your life or the world, and then joy to be together as part of a close-knit family.
There you go. I'm behind the wheel of my van.
There it is.
Wearing
Nice.
wearing the hot tuna vest, I think Larry Hitch is next to me, and Ken Schiffman is next to him. But on
Nice.
this roll of film, this is like crazy shit, because there's like 10 pictures. All I guess Phil was in the van with us. Look at this one.
Oh, Polly and Jake. There you go.
And Jimmy Johnson.
And Jimmy Johnson. Yeah. Holy cow. I didn't recognize him for a second there. Awesome.
Sitting in the back of my van. It was like, we sort of had like the skinhead no edge van. That was my, Al had like the straight edge van.
Yeah, that was the one I was in. Yeah.
You were in the straight edge van. I kind of had the no edge van,
which is also cool, right? Like that's to compliment you and everybody, right? They did their own thing. You did your own thing. The Queensbury Street crew, which was a lot of those guys that you've just shown in the
there's another one
pictures. Oh yeah, that's a great picture.
Frank,
Big Frank. Yeah. Not Big Frank from California, but Frank. Yeah, I remember Frank. Yeah. Nice.
Is it you? One of you guys told me this story years. Yeah, look, here we are in the no edge van, right? This is what was going on in the no edge van. Some of these characters, Hold on. There you go. Larry Hitch. I think that's Dave Bass behind, so
Dave Bass enjoying a nice bottle of water.
Yeah. So I forgot who told me the story. About was it you or was it Andy Strahan, about how after some show in the city, we were driving back to Boston, and I stopped at some bodega, and I went and got some of you straight edge guys, and I was like, you guys got to see this. And I brought you guys into this bodega in New York. It was like a deli, but you go to the back of the deli, and there was like a shelving unit, and you can get around either side of it. And you get around either side of it, and there was a window there, like when you go, and you could put money underneath.
Yeah.
And they were selling pot, and like it was.
I might have been there. That sounds familiar to me. I don't exactly, but that sounds like a memory. Yeah, that's great. And how awesome that you did that, right? You let all of us,
I was like okay, straight edge guys.
This with X tattoo, right? Like that has been replicated, all that stuff, which is great, and I'm proud of that. But dang. That was so bold of you. I love it.
Yeah, it was. I'm looking for that shot of you. Anywho, let's jump into it. Let's jump right at it. How you feeling? What's going on? Bring us up to date on your health situation and how you doing.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. And
because we love you, bro.
Thank you, bro. I love you too. And I'm really grateful. I will say, so for people who don't know, got diagnosed with cancer year plus ish ago. And then plus, because of the treatment for the cancer, I had 2 encephalitis attacks. So what that is a swelling of the brain. And that put me in the hospital for a month and a half in intensive care each time.
Now, is encephalitis is that like a how do you say that, a byproduct of the cancer you had, or is that from the treatment, or how does that come about?
It's actually, so they're not totally sure, to be honest, the oncologists, my cancer doctors and everything, but they think it's from, so I was on chemotherapy and immunotherapy, right? And that went on for multiple sessions, and was pretty hairy, of course. And then the one of those medicines that they were giving me as part of the cancer treatments, which I have to say, thank God they did, because it seems to, I'm still here, right? So, and I'll tell you a second about that. The blood tests for that were crazy at the beginning, but anyway, the treatments, one of the immunotherapies that they were giving me apparently has a side effect of nuking a lot of your hormones in your brain that your brain produces, including cortisol, right? And cortisol is a lot of things. A lot of people know it as your fight or flight reflex, right? So cortisol, your brain produces it up here and tells your body, do your thing, or get out of there. And so, we were, thank you, Drew. We were, so I was just at home, and all of a sudden I was talking to somebody on the phone, and apparently I don't remember much of this, but they said I started talking nonsense, so if I do that here, it may be just me being me, or it may be, something grim, but, right. So they couldn't understand me, and they called a friend nearby who came, and it was like, okay, apparently I was, absolutely out of it. And then they took me to the hospital, and then ended up in the hospital with tubes down my throat for a month and a half, or actually about a month. And that was about a half a month the first time, sort of normally in the hospital. It was the weirdest thing. So I woke up, right?
Yeah. Were you coherent? Were you coherent? Or did you just?
Yeah, I was coherent, but I woke up in this hospital room, and I had no recollection of getting there or being there, or I think my last time that I remembered was just being at home and taking care of my family and my dog and my cat and my daughter, and so I had no recollection. I woke up in this room. It was one of the strangest experiences, right? And I was like, wait, where in the hell am I? And there's beep, 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 all the tubes and beeps and all that. I'm wired up like you mentioned Logan's Run earlier, which, by the way, mad props for mentioning Logan's Run. But so I felt like I was in a totally agree. It's Laura. So I felt like I was in a science fiction movie of my own, right? I was totally disoriented. And then finally, about like maybe half an hour later, a nurse came in. I was like, okay, I'm clearly in a hospital room. What happened? And so that kind of came in. And then I got out after a month and a half, and I went home for about a month and a half. And then I had another one, another encephalitis attack. And this one, apparently I was real close to death. Like they thought I was dead. And
do you just fall out? Do you faint? And then
I think apparently in both cases, I was talking nonsense, like utter gibberish, and then somebody came and rescued me and took me. I have vague memories of being in an ambulance, and that's about it. And then again, same thing. I woke up in this room, different room, and I will say this. So having cancer and to all my brothers, Roger, others who were going through this, Lou going through his struggles, Lou is a longtime friend. And so for everybody who's gone through this, personal people, people that we might not know each other yet, but if you're going through stuff, there are rays of sunshine through the clouds. Okay.
Yeah.
And one of the, hi Rich. Yeah, man, it was fucking wild. And one of the rays of sunshine for me has been connecting with people that I haven't talked to in for ages, sometimes years, sometimes decades.
Sure.
And so many friends I had came out of the woodwork for me, and you were one of them, and others, and I'm very grateful for that. I think that pushed me from death to life. Hearing from people, I had so many people come and visit me in the hospital. So many people, daily writing to me, calling me, sending me texts, notes. And I've gotten some really amazing care packages from people, just in many cases, strangers that are just, people that I didn't even know in some cases. Like I just got one the other day, which was knocked me out of my seat. It was, so as you know, I'm like a huge comic book guy, right? There's Doom. There's Hawkeye.
Nice.
And there's Ghost Rider. Let me see if I can do this right. and so all these things, right?
So wait a second.
Yeah.
Superman, Ghost Rider, Doctor Doom, Hawkeye. Anything
Yeah,
else?
and there's others. I'm
Wow.
trying to think. Oh, there's my Motorhead tattoo right there. That's the Ace of Spades. And then over here, I don't know if you can see them all.
You were one of my first friends that actually got tattoos when we were teenagers.
Yeah, man.
Basically, right?
I was. Yeah. The funny thing is, right? Yeah. So I had to hide it. So I remember from my parents. So I remember going back to DC. My parents had moved out of Virginia and into a row house in DC. And I go back, and this is when I was in college, 1982, 81, whenever it was. And I go back, and it's Virginia in summer, right? Because you get out of college in May,
sure.
Right? And it's Virginia/DC in summer. So it's freaking hot, right? And yes, I agree with Ghost Rider, best comic ever, totally agree with that. And by the way, Nicolas Cage, first movie especially, great job.
I agree with you. The two Ghost Rider movies were actually pretty damn good. They were really good.
Yeah, they were. I thought the second one didn't quite measure up to the first, but still good. Yeah,
but it wasn't horrible.
It wasn't horrible, absolutely. And anyway, so I got home in Virginia, DC in the summer, and I'm having to wear long sleeve T-shirts or long sleeve shirts every day, and I'm dripping sweat, and
of course we all know, because DC in the summer is like a friggin' swamp.
It is, and in
literally.
I think there is swamp-ish, climate there, and so. So I just remember that, and finally, I was wearing a shirt that I thought was long enough to do it, and sure enough, it poked up when I was reaching for something or whatever.
That's funny.
Yeah, totally busted.
That same thing happened to me. I was with my mom, and my first tattoo was on my back. Right, was my back, basically my back piece. Right, and I was walking ahead of her, and I scratched my back, lifted my shirt up, and she just let out a yelp. She's like, "Is that a tattoo?" And then not only is it a tattoo, but it's a full burner on my back.
Yeah, actually, that's a bold move for your first tattoo. I will say that is a bold move.
I went big. But my tattoos are sort of it. I mean, my tattoos. I don't have any I don't have any on my arms or anything like that. So, I kind of approached it a little differently. I have my chest, I have my back, I have my legs, but
yeah everybody, hey, there's no right or wrong, right? It's all personal preference, personal choice.
That's
and right. I know people that don't have any tattoos, plenty of people.
Hey, just a quick note on about what's his name, Nicolas Cage. You know what Nicolas Cage movie I watched that was real, that I enjoyed, was the remake that he did of Bad Lieutenant. Have you? It's really pretty good. I must say, my hero Werner Herzog directed it. I really enjoyed the Bad Lieutenant. I don't know if he claims it's not a remake, but it's called Bad Lieutenant Port of Call, New Orleans or something. Nicolas Cage is really good in it. So anyway,
nice. Yeah, absolutely. And he's been in some really good movies. I mean, I know there's all this kind of controversy about him. I'm empathetic to him, because he is a huge comic book fan. So he was the right guy to be Johnny Blaze and to come in and do that, I like
what James G. Ward said. You're a DC guy with Marvel tattoos.
Yeah. Oh, so let me finish telling this quick story.
Please,
You're totally right, by the way, about that Warrior. But so I get a package the other day in the mail. It's pretty big. It's a big box, right? Uh-huh. And I'm like, what is this? And sometimes, I don't know if you've ever had this, Drew, but I get you get these mistaken packages from Amazon. Have you ever had that? Like something that is maybe for a neighbor, or completely wrong. I got one the other day that was like aromatherapy, and it wasn't a gift from somebody or anything.
And it was addressed to you?
Yeah, it came to me, and I didn't order. I just checked to make sure I didn't pay for it or whatever. But anyway, I get that once a year maybe. So I get this box. I'm thinking, but it's hand addressed to me, and it's hand addressed, not just a printout of a label. Sure. So I'm thinking, what is it? So I open it up. I should have had it. It's in the other room. Maybe I'll bring it if I take a break. But huge stack of Marvel comics, trade paperbacks, artist proofs, huge thing. One of the vice presidents of Marvel, and I'm not going to tell his name because I don't know if he wants to be named, but he is a huge DYS and Down by Law fan and Dag Nasty fan. and he heard I was going through this, and God bless him, because he sent this just care package of, I'm going to be reading this thing for months. And it was just such a kind gesture, and I really, awesome. I've had a lot of that since I got sick. And so I really appreciate everybody looking out for me. It's really kind. And it, like I said, I think it made the difference in me getting stronger.
Not to sound corny, but and I know this because you espouse this rhetoric on stage quite a bit. It's the community, and it's the culture, and it's the thing we grew up in, and people really respond, and they're responding to Lou Koller right now, and they responded to Roger, and they responded to you, and it's one of the great things about this thing that we're in called hardcore.
Yeah, completely concur. It is like nothing else, and I can imagine. There's probably some hippies from the 60s that went to Woodstock together and did all that, and saw Jimi Hendrix or, some of the greats. And so I imagine there's that sort of camaraderie with them as well. Right.
Sure.
But I think hardcore more than that. Drew Moncano, we are family worldwide completely. Yeah. And it's true. That's what always attracted me to hardcore was that family. Look, we were in Boston, you, me, everybody, Jonathan, all of us. And we were a group, a family. Like those people, I would take a bullet for them right now. There's Springer and Steve Grimes and who else do I see there? Choke, obviously, and Tony. And I guess I don't know whose bald head that is at the foreground.
I'm on the right. I'm on the right, peeking out from behind that.
There you are. Yeah, shaved down. Yep. I see you. Yeah. Yep, those were
Jake and Tony and Joe Sackout on the left. But this is where I met you, and this is this is an SSD Control show, and that is Springer doing his thing, And
is that Dave Collins behind Steve Grimes next to Richie?
No, I think that's Wayne from the FUs.
Oh, that's Wayne. Okay, got it.
And then it's Jamie Johnson.
Yeah, of course.
And this is. Like the first couple shows I went to was like this. There was like 25 kids in the room. That's it.
Yeah. Is that in Media Workshop?
That's Media Workshop.
Yeah, looks like it.
And I have this great picture. This is really great. Where is it? Let me find it. Keep talking. I'll find it.
Let's see. Keep talking. Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
Actually, it's harder to get me to shut up, I think, than talk.
Where is that? I have a really great one from the media of you at the Media Workshop. Hold on. Here it is. I love this shot, man. Talk about a snapshot in time, like a moment in time. This photo right here.
Nice. I remember those days. I probably remember everything about that shot. Yeah. I remember that shirt. I love that shirt. And of course, to me, part of the joy was, having the shaved head and the combat boots and the spiked bracelet and wearing a Mickey Mouse shirt to kind of counterbalance it all. I loved the shock value of doing that.
I love the graffiti on the wall. Springer's fake straight edge.
I don't think Spring was ever fake straight edge. He just never was. Right.
Yeah,
he never said I'm straight edge. I don't think I remember Spring. I hung out with him, 1,000 times. I knew you have him coming up and I don't think he ever claimed to be straight, or maybe, hey, look, maybe he thought he was. And so, who knows, people change, but I don't think that was ever part of Springer's mantra. Like it was for me or Jonathan or Al or some of us, joke. Yeah. So like that wasn't his thing. And then that's cool. Right. I've always thought that that's okay for everybody to be who they are.
Yeah. It's part of what made it great.
Yeah, man.
So just poking around a little bit, what we're going to do is we're going to go on like another 20 minutes, and then we'll take a sponsor break. And then we'll come. Then when we come back from the break, we'll bring your bandmate on, and we'll focus up on the new Down by Law stuff.
Yeah, sounds great. I mean, I encourage everybody to stick around for that because Sam Williams, who you're going to have on here.
Yeah,
the gem and the foreskins on the same wall. Great point.
Yeah.
And I've got it. So there's a funny story about tattoos we were talking about. I have a jam tattoo that was one of my home done ones given to me by a guy on the road. And it was the jam with the logo, with the M, crossing underneath and everything. And that one completely dissolved. Like with time over decades. Like you can't see it anymore. It just,
do tattoos, that happens with some tattoos?
I think if they didn't go too deep or something, I don't know enough about it. You think I would since I'm covered, but yeah, they I think if they're not done, well or properly, this was done in somebody's living room, I believe. And so, so over time, I saw it getting lighter and lighter, and then eventually it disappeared. So, but anyway, so Sam Williams that you see there, he is, and I'm saying this before he's on, so there's, everybody's clear. He is one of the best guitar players in the world. He is. I would put him, he's equal to any of the greats that we talk about frequently, Brian Baker or some of the others, Rick Agnew or some of the others in our world of hardcore. He is up there with them. And then I would put him up there with some of the greats of rock. So one of the things that Sam probably won't talk too much about because he's very shy and he doesn't go on a lot of shows. So you've got quite a coup to get him, Drew. And that's a mark of faith in you and your show and admiration for who you are truly. But Sam was one of these kids that thanks, Drew. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, Salt Lake 1992, man. That was when we were we were on fire at those days and those shows were fire. But Sam would he would either skip school altogether or he'd get home from school right away. I'm talking middle school, elementary school, whatever, high school for sure. And he'd sit in his room and play along to Van Halen records. Now, nobody does that anymore because it's really freaking hard. You play along with Eddie Van Halen or Jimi Hendrix, or some of the cats in Lynyrd Skynyrd, whatever. There's some great guitar players out there. And Sam would sit home in his room and just, he wouldn't get into trouble like all the other people would do in those ages. He really wasn't doing anything except playing guitar in his room. And consequently, he's like, he's insane. And so I encourage you all to take a chance to go see him. Look, we're all getting older. Some of us are getting sick, obviously, unfortunately. So I don't know how many Down by Law shows are left, but go see him or go see Black Valley Moon and go see this guy. He's worth your time and experience in life to go do that.
Fantastic. Let me see. I've started to get the hang, or the other Drew. I have the hang of this. Down by
this is episode 300 something, isn't it, for you, Drew?
Yeah, 300 and something.
Yeah.
I don't worry about nothing anymore, man.
No, you shouldn't. Absolutely.
I don't. It's like I don't even stress it, man. I've had, who was a great guest on the show? I had Ian on the show. Ian Mackay was on the show. He was great. Yeah,
I would imagine he would be.
Yeah, he was very, he was really, he was great. Let me see. Does this count as a podcast? I don't know. I don't think of this as a podcast. To me, it's a live video streaming show. It's not really a podcast. I never considered this a podcast. Matt Cade says, looking good, Dave. Looking forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it. Thanks for all you do.
I'm going to throw a couple questions. I'm going to throw a couple things out there.
Yeah.
I know that, you've been on before and we kind of went through your whole coming up, but, doing some more homework. How did you go from the jump from, I knew you in Boston, DYS, put out those two records, I was always a fan of the second record. I thought you did a great, I thought you did a great job vocally on it. I thought you pulled it off, little did I know, what a really great vocalist, lied ahead. How did you get involved with Brian and Dag Nasty after your sort of your Boston sort of tenure?
Yeah. So, I came up, I was like a little bit younger than some of those cats, a little bit older than some too, but I came up going to those early DC shows in 1980 and certainly in 81 before I moved to Boston. I moved to Boston in 81. And so I kind of knew some of those guys either directly or by sight. They were kind of always the gods, though, right? Like, like I was the suburban kid, Virginia, not DC. I wasn't hip. I wasn't cool.
So you went to a couple of shows before. You went to a couple of hardcore shows before you showed up in Boston.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
no.
okay.
So I would go. I've seen. I was lucky enough to see early. Let me think who I saw. Government Issue. Some of those other great early Discord bands. So all of that and Minor Threat for sure, and others. So then I moved to Boston, and the first thing I did was Newbury Comics, which at the time was one store. Well, there was the store, as you remember, on Newbury Street, and then that was the records and CDs, and they didn't have CDs yet. They had records and singles and stickers, and then across the street was the comic book shop.
What was it across the street? I sort of remember it in the same brownstone. If you go right, it was the records. If you went and left, it was the comics. Maybe I'm remembering that wrong.
That was later.
Oh,
originally the comics were across the street, just across the street. Like you could throw a rock, between the two. And that was the comic book shop. And so, or maybe it was originally they were in the back and then they moved to I can't remember which was first. But anyway, I put up a sign, a handwritten note, literally the first couple days that I was in Boston. And I said, hardcore singer with full equipment, looking to start a hardcore band, drummer with full equipment, ready to join. Right. Well, What was that? That was me with a microphone, no full equipment. I didn't have a PA. I didn't even have a mic cord. I had a microphone. And my friend Colum, who was in the dorms with me at Boston College, he said he'd drum. He's like, sure. But Colum had never drummed before. He was like, sure, I'll drum. And I was like, cool. So I kind of told a fib because I just wanted to get some calls, and I figured I'd tell them, once I talked to them. And then Jonathan Anastas calls and says, hey, I've got a guitar player friend who's fully into it, and I play bass. Let's do it. So I got in touch with Jonathan like my first week in Boston. So it was like August 81, probably maybe July 81. I forget, somewhere in there.
Well, that's right when I showed up. I showed up in June, I think June 81.
Yeah, because you were going to go to school, right? You were going to go to Emerson.
And being a freshman at Emerson, you had to go up early.
Yeah, same thing for me. Yeah, same for me.
So I showed up like in June of 1981.
Let me decline that. Getting a message from my friend Keith Davies, who is the bass player.
This just in. Jamie Sharappa from SSD Control says, I remember meeting Dave for the first time in front of Streets with the No Success jacket on. He had just moved to Boston.
Yeah. Thanks, Jamie. You're my brother for life. I love you, man. I'm so happy to have you in my life and all the incredible things we did together and the influence you had on me as a friend and musician. And
absolutely,
just Jamie Sharappa, for those who are not aware, is just a phenomenal human being, and just I love him for life. So thank you, Jamie. I had the No Success. That was my band in DC that I was trying to get. But so I meet with Jonathan and this guy Glenn, who was, yes, Jonathan told the truth that he was a phenomenal guitar player, but he was completely into stoner rock and
was that this guy?
No, that's Steve Bielski. And we nicknamed him Briowski, which was the antacid tablets that you took. Yeah. It was called Briowski. So Steve Bielski, and we nicknamed it. God, how'd you find the picture? That's a great one. I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
Yeah, that's from your very first show.
Is it really? Nice.
Yeah, at the Gallery East. Yep.
So anyway, we met Glenn and it turned out, long story short, we needed a proper, lineup. And so Glenn kind of, dropped out and Colum, went off to do great things. Yeah, he was in a band called The Landlords in Charlottesville, Virginia, among other things, and still a dear friend of mine. And then, Jonathan and I, got to stick together like glue, like crew. And so we became friends. We're lifelong friends to this day. And I know you are as well. And so we then Dave Collins came in and joined us on drums. Phenomenal drummer, especially for that time. Nobody played drums, pretty close like that. He was a great drummer. Yeah. And then Steve Bielski played guitar, and he was great as well. So DYS had a couple of advantages in our musicianship, and I'd grown up singing in church choirs and stuff like that. So I came from a singing background, all the high school, I was in all the plays, all the musicals. Kind of funny actually, because in high school I'd get lead roles in all the musicals, right? And that was because I could sing. And I would be like on the dramas, which was in the fall. There's always a fall drama and a spring musical. So spring, a lead role, right? Fall, the dramas where you actually have to be a good actor. I was like third man in crowd, tree, right. Like I was just like whatever they could do to have me not.
So you as a young person, you always had a voice.
Yes, sir. I was very blessed with that early on.
Here's here's a shot of me as a young teenager in the middle here, acting in West Side Story.
Nice. Sharks and the Jets. There you go.
Yeah. So there I am. Look at the bod on that kid, huh? There I am. Probably 15 years old, 14, 15 years old, acting in West Side Story.
Hey, look at that packed house you had too.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
But you know what? But I gotta say, at a young age, I didn't have a voice. I didn't discover my voice. I didn't know how to sing as a young person. I could act. I could put on a show, but I really didn't know my voice. And it's commendable that as a young person you did.
Yeah, I was in junior choir in elementary school, and then went on to be actually starting from 7th grade on, I was in musicals all from there. And along those lines, along that path, I had a really awesome vocal coach. And her name was Linda, and she was amazing. And she taught me about breathing from the diaphragm, how to project well, how to preserve my voice. And she probably changed my life more than she realized.
So going toward so bring us towards how did you end up in with Brian and Dag Nasty?
Oh, sorry, yeah. So I kind of knew some of the DC guys.
What was the jump there? And
we met each other obviously in the course of while I was in DYS and he was in Minor Threat, and we made some DC trips together. Some of us in the crew and back and forth, and so I knew Brian a little bit, and then when DYS broke up and I was back at my parents' row house in DC, Brian called me and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I said, "Nothing, come on over." And so he did. And we went in his father's Honda CRX, and we drove around, and he played me the cassette of this demo, 4-song demo of his band called Dag Nasty. And I instantly fell in love with it, and I connected with it right away. And it was something that he knew, I think, before I knew that I was going to be in the band. I think he knew it.
And then things got rolling, and this is the first thing you recorded with him, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I must say, I think that this album certainly has aged well. Any perspective you can glean on us regarding this, can I say?
So sure. A couple of memories that really come to mind. First of all, let me say thank you to everyone who has made this record part of their life. It has helped shape so many people and so many young kids or through their adult years into now. Thank you, Rick. And thank you, Drew. I think I'll tell you one story that I remember.
Please.
So I remember we recorded it in Don Zientara's basement, which was Inner Ear. Don Zientara is the owner of Inner Ear Studios. And thank you, Pat. And there was something in the air about that recording. And I can't describe it except to say there was something in the air. We felt it. We knew it. Thank you, Chris. We knew that. Thank you, Eric. This we knew, like, while we were recording it, there was literally, I don't know if I've ever felt quite that way. Probably Down by Law Punk Rock Academy fight song. I felt that then too. But I think when we were recording, Can I Say, there was something in the air that I wish I could bottle and take a sip of every day. And I remember feeling that, like there was something magical. We were charged. There was this passion. There was this unique chemistry, energy. I don't know what it was. And
Was this when Don's studio was still in the basement?
yeah, it was in his
house?
basement.
It was
I mean,
still
yeah,
his
like
house. Yeah.
because it was right next to his laundry machine, and the kids who I
Yeah.
knew his kids very well. They were coming
Right.
down, and his daughters, and so we had this karma, whatever it was. Thank you, Paul. And so I remember seeing Ian shaking his head after I did a vocal. And I'm like, okay, Ian, who I loved, and respected and grew up, with Minor Threat, even though I was still a young guy too at that time. But I was like, Ian's shaking his head. Because remember, Ian produced that album. Ian produced Can I Say? Ian and Don.
Not to sort of take a sidebar, but I've asked many guests on the show, what does it mean when Ian is producing your record? Is he hands-on? Is he working through songs? Is he sort of floating above it? What does that mean when Ian MacKaye is producing your album?
So Ian is thank you, Tony. Ian is a legend, and he's a legend for a reason, because he's great. He's a great vocalist. He's a great songwriter. He's a great human being who has blazed his own path throughout his entire life and inspired, thousands and thousands of people. Mm-hmm. So when he's in the studio, to answer your question, he kind of just is himself. He's not trying to rearrange everything and tell you what to do, or what he's there is to steer the ship. You're on ship. He just steers the ship. Make sure you avoid any icebergs, right? And the ship gets to its destination of greatness.
It sounds a little bit to me like a Rick Rubin, who just sort of is just a presence that sort of steers the ship,
I think that's a great way of putting it. Yeah, and look at what Rick Rubin has done for so many bands, including Johnny Cash. Got his best album, arguably, at his end of his life, and so end of Johnny Cash's life. So I would say so. Anyway, so I see Ian, who I had this enormous respect for, and we're friends, and he is shaking his head a little bit, and I walk over, and it wasn't a far walk from where I was singing, and I walk over, and I said, "What's wrong?" And he said, "I was just thinking." In his Ian voice, I was just thinking that, and he says, I was just thinking that this is going to be one of Discord's best records. Ooh. And I was like, whoa, and that's, Teen Idols, Government Issue, Minor Threat, all these SOA, all these great sort of legendary hardcore records. And for him to say that was quite a thing, and so I went back out and kept going, and he loved it, and Don and he were very encouraging and saying, wow, and love you, and keep going, and all that stuff. There weren't a lot of retakes on that album. Like, it was all just blazing the whole time. We didn't have to do things 50 times. There were a few times when Ian or Don would say, hey, let's do that again, or we'd stop in the middle and say, no, we weren't, the groove wasn't right. There were a few of those, but mostly we did it straight,
And your initial tenure in Dag Nasty came to an end, if I remember, because you were going to grad school and you just had to get going.
Yeah. So before I joined Dag Nasty, I had applied for a couple of graduate school things. Remember, I got out of college from Boston, moved back home to DC, and not knowing what I was going to do. I'm like, and I had all these professors in college who were saying, you have to go to grad school. Like, they thought that was what I should be doing. Right. So I was like, okay. So I applied to grad school. And one of these, there were two things that came into play. One, I got a scholarship to go to NYU. So thank you, Drew. Appreciate that, man. Salt Lake City, great scene, Salt Lake City. So I got word while I was in Dag Nasty that I got a full ride to go to NYU. Now, even then, nowadays, I can't even imagine. I have no idea what it costs. But back then, I had no money. My parents had helped me get through school. I paid for a couple of years. They paid for a couple of years.
Sure.
And so I was already like coming out of school in debt and everything, and I had no money, and so I got this opportunity to go to NYU, to the Hagop Kevorkian Near Eastern Center, or Near Eastern Studies School. And I wanted to study the Middle East at that time. And so I was like, holy and thinking, what do I do? And finally I decided I can't afford not to do this. I literally can't afford not to do this.
Sure.
Now here's the dumb part that I kind of always wonder, what would have happened if we'd done things differently.
Right.
So I said, guys, I have to quit, after we recorded and done some tours and a few shows and everything, and said, I got to go. And I'm really sorry. I'm going to have to quit. And it ended up being a very bitter breakup, between us. And so unfortunately, what we should have done is said, wait, you're just going to New York, right? Like that's a hop, skip, and a jump from DC. You can take the train in 4 hours and be in DC or New, vice versa, go into New York,
right?
Or drive for 5 hours or whatever,
Sure.
So we, in hindsight, we shouldn't have done that. We should have talked it through, but we were all young kids. We were all very young, 21 years old, maybe. And so we were dumb and said, I'm leaving. Well, screw you, that kind of stuff. And it was stupid in hindsight, but I did it. And then what happened is another scholarship that I'd applied for to go to Israel came through. And I'm like, well, I was going to go to NYU to study Middle Eastern politics, or I can go here to Israel to live to go to Hebrew University and live in Jerusalem.
In Jerusalem.
Yeah, in Jerusalem.
Wow.
So I'm like, I got to take that one instead.
Incredible.
So I ended up going and I studied Middle Eastern studies and political science. So those are the two things I studied, focused on.
And I guess that ties into, before I'm jumping ahead, that ties into when you got the call from Bill Stevenson to join what would become All. Basically, you flew straight from Israel, straight to Los Angeles. They picked you up at the airport and you went straight to the rehearsal and you just went on that incredible ride.
Yeah. After I got back from Israel. So actually, it's funny. Bill played a huge role in that too, right? So in many ways in my life, Bill Stevenson has been a friend and fellow musician and everything that I love him to death. And he called me in Israel a couple of times. So our old friend, your mutual friend and mine, Mike Gitter, who Mike and I and all of us have been friends for years. He did XXX fanzine in Boston for those who follow those things, and it was a great fanzine. And
he's still, to this day, he's still a very proficient A&R guy.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, I think he signed Jawbox, if I'm not mistaken. Got them, into the major leagues.
He's
nice,
incredible.
Gina. Thank you. Nice.
Yep.
He called me in Israel and said, hey, can I give Bill your number? And I was like, sure, I know Bill, because I played did DYS play with Black Flag? I think so, yeah. So we played, and I knew him from Black Flag and DYS. And Bill and I always got along nicely, really well. And I think we respected each other as musicians. And so all of a sudden I get this call from Bill Stevenson.
And Bill Stevenson really ran the Descendants show. I mean, he was the guy. I mean, the Descendants, Bill was the driving force in the Descendants.
He was and is the beating heart. Everybody, of course, knows Milo and Carl and Stefan. They're all amazing. But the beating heart, the one who keeps it going and steers that ship.
And it has, and the Descendants will always have that Black Flag work ethic,
Yeah, they're lovingly out of their minds with this thing, and I tip my hat to them for that, So anyway, I get this call and we talk for hours. So, and this is before there were he is Rick, he's a machine, and we talked for hours, multiple times on the phone. Thank you, Radar. Great name, by the way, Radar O'Reilly. That's great. So we talked, and I think really our friendship grew so much in those phone calls. And Bill told me later that the phone calls were like over $1,000, his phone bills, because we talked for so long. Because I'm going to make a decision, right? Do I stay in Israel and finish my master's degree and not do music, or do I go with this guy who obviously I love the Descendants, who doesn't, and then I love Black Flag, who doesn't, and I love Billy. And so Billy and I talked, and I was like, I want to hitch my wagon so to speak, to Billy, and let's do this. Let's explore. And sometimes you roll the dice in life, you know, you got to do it. And there's, you know, you ever remember that movie Sliding Doors? I think it was with Gwyneth Paltrow, right? And the idea is like she's getting on the train and in the subway in New York, and the doors close, and that's one scenario of her life. It's because she didn't make that train. And they show what she did. And then the other scenario they show is if she did make that train and gets home in time, finds out her boyfriend's not such a good guy. Anyway, all these things. So that was kind of like, for me, I was like, well, you know what? Look, punk rock, if it taught us anything, it's to roll the dice, right? Roll the dice. And I am half nerd, comic books, school, and I am half musician. Or I'm all musician, actually. I'm all musician and half nerd, right? And so I was like, you know what? Billy and I just had some of these great conversations. And it was funny. I remember the first one. Bill called and, you know, pick up the phone. Hello. And this is before, you know, we had cell phone, right? This is pick up a phone that's attached to a wire, you know? And I said, hey, what's up, Billy? And he said, hey, you know, like one of the first things he said was, Milo's leaving to go back to school. I said, oh, I'm sorry, man. And he said, you're the new singer. he wasn't like, do you want to be the new singer? You know, and
that's great, man.
We talked it through, yeah. And
was the concept right out of the gate? I guess it was, but just to hear it out of your mouth, Milo's going back to school. You're coming in, and we're rebranding this.
Yeah, so it was a joint project. Bill had this vision for all. And the whole idea was going for all. And that's kind of what I was doing by chucking the full ride to Hebrew University. And, oh, Drew, I love yours and Carl's vocals. You know, Carl wrote that song, and the vocals do sound really nice together. Carl's got a great voice. He was a singer in a prior band in Salt Lake.
Is that right?
So, yeah. So Carl, you know, has a great singing voice, and you hear him on backup vocals. But that song, Paper Tiger, he did an amazing vocal, and our voices sound, you know, pretty sharp together. So anyway, so Bill had this vision, go for all, right? And later he dedicates one of the albums to a friend. He and Bill and his friend used to go fishing in the morning before school, like before high school, and they would go and fish. And one of his friends that he would go with, and he used to come into high school, you know, stinking like chum and fish, right? And like, so all those Descendants songs about being brokenhearted and not getting the girl, well, they're all real, you know, because the cool girls, and you know, all of us, like, you know, punk rock, what is this? You know, you're screaming into a microphone. You know, the girls, you know, a lot of them didn't go for us guys like that, you know? And but Billy had this vision, and I bought into the vision. In fact, I said, the only thing I don't want to do is be a replacement singer for Milo. I said, I want to form our own thing. And Carl, one of my biggest bass influences.
So just to interject, Rick asks, did you get a lot of the quote, you're not Milo at all shows, or was the fact that it was totally branded something different, was that very infrequent? Yeah.
So no, I didn't get that at all, because we were our own thing. And because I came in, I don't know how else to put it. So I'll say legacy, but I don't know what the right word is. But, you know, I'd done DYS and Dag Nasty, you know, so people knew me, and nobody expected me to be Milo. And that's one of the hardest things, is to change singers. That's why so many bands can't do it well. You look at Van Halen, right? You know, they came in, you know, technically, you know, maybe, you know, when they've changed singers, they got better singers, but everybody's always going to go with David Lee Roth every time. You know, and so I would say,
believe me, I know. I sang in a band and had an albatross around my neck for years.
Yeah, you did, but you did great. You know, you did great in that.
But there was still, it was tough. It was tough.
Yeah, it was, and I was lucky. I was always the guy who.
Hey Sam, Sam, I see you. We'll bring you on in a couple minutes, buddy. Yep.
Yeah. So anyway, so that was Bill's vision, and I like you said, got landed. I was in for a little while in New Jersey, long enough to sell my record collection. I remember that in a record store in New Jersey, because I had no money. you know, I was a student at punk rock musician, right? Like that's not a combination for money in those days.
Yeah.
So I had literally sometimes not enough to eat. And so I was able to sell my record collection. I remember word got out, you know, like Dave Smalley sold his record collection, and I had every Discord record, every, you know, great English punk record, every early California record.
Sure.
And the two that I kept were the Minor Threat 7-inch, the first one, the red cover, and the first Clash album. Those are the two that I kept. I just couldn't part with those.
Well, I remember when we were in Boston, we would just, you know, anytime something new would come into Newberry Comics, it was, you know, a must. You know, if it was a new Discord release, forget about it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And I would always tell Mike Dries and John Brusker, who were the owners of Newberry Comics, I'd always tell them, you guys, order more hardcore stuff. Kids will buy it, because they'd get like one copy of the Negative Approach single or whatever, you know, and I'd be like, I'm going to buy that because I work here.
Or how about, and we're going to take a sponsor break and so we can bring Sam on. But, you know, you know what I remember? Like when the Misfits would play, we would go see the Misfits, and the Misfits would be selling their own 7-inches. And it was like, let me get, you know, Who Killed Marilyn? Let me get Horror Business, you know, and you would just, you know,
Where Eagles Dare, everything.
Just the opportunity to that, you know, because those Misfits singles, you know, you didn't see them in record stores, but if you went to the show, you could buy them, you know? Yeah. So let me take a quick sponsor break. And then we'll bring Sam on. We'll talk about Down by Law and the new Down by Law stuff. So it'll be a couple minutes, and we'll see.
I'm going to make some coffee while you're doing that. So if I'm not back, I'm coming back.
You got like 5 minutes.
All right, man.
That's right. Here we go. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. Our guest today is our old friend Dave Smalley. We're going to be bringing his bandmate on from Down by Law, Mr. Sam Williams. Let's do a little sponsor stuff and talk about a couple of upcoming shows. Since 1992, Generation Records has been a mainstay of the New York metropolitan area music scene. Today, they offer a diverse selection of new and used rock, jazz, indie, hip-hop, punk, hardcore, metal, blues, soundtrack, and reggae LPs, as well as t-shirts, posters, and other merchandise. They buy used record collections and music memorabilia and will pay you top dollar for them. House calls made for large collections in the tri-state area. Call or email generationrecords@gmail.com and follow them on Facebook and Instagram.
Will that be cash or in debt?
Do you mean debit?
Yes. Sorry. Another eternally satisfied customer.
Hey guys, Vlad from Organic Grill. As you can see, we're in new location on West 3rd Street, right by Blue Note and Comedy Central. The place is bigger, kitchen is bigger, we have more varieties, more food. We are looking forward to treat you guys with great dishes. All Hardcore Chronicles, welcome to Organic Grill. We are going to serve all the events as we usually do, and we are happy to see you guys.
Peace, what it do? Welcome to NYHC Comics at 117 Main Street, Dobbs, Surrey, New York. I'm Debo the Pro with my homie
Lee Farley.
Welcome to the spot. Specializing in yesterday's and today's comic books, rare CGCs, toys, collectibles.
Got skateboards, old school tapes, Magic the Gathering, Warhammer.
Video games, original art pieces by your favorite New York City and worldwide artists. Let's go. Skate decks all day, baby.
We also have the young reader section here for like 10 and under. Pops. People love the Pops.
Star Wars! We are New York Hardcore. We always rep the scene. Let's get it on.
And we're back. This is the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, episode 328. quickly, let's talk about a couple upcoming episodes. In keeping, in the theme of Boston Hardcore, 1 week from today, The Lunatic will be on the show. Yes, Springer from SSD will be on. We're looking forward to it. Lots to talk about. A week after that, Tony Portaro from Whiplash. A couple days after that, our friend, we're doing a side trips, one of our rare episodes where we go outside the hardcore genre. We have our friend Jonathan Alpolieri coming on. He is a war photographer. Incredible story. Has a couple books out. He was taken hostage in Syria. We're going to get into something a little bit different on this Wednesday. Sunday, July 28th, Gerard Lindsay from 45 Adapters will be on. Sunday, August 4th, come on now, jump around. Danny Boy O'Connor will be on the show. House of Pain, La Coca Nostra. He runs the Outsiders Museum in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and is the man behind the Delta Bravo Urban Exploration Team. Sunday, August 11th, this hasn't been announced on social media, but we are bringing author Daniel Rachel on. He has a book out called Too Much, Too Young. It is the two-tone record story. Incredible. They sent me the book. We're going to get into deep into ska history on Sunday, August 11th. And then Sunday, September 8th, speaking of books, Vinny Stigma, The Most Interesting Man in the World book. We got Vinny Stigma coming on, as well as our friend Howie Abrams. So lots going on. Yes, I want to mention, Larry Kelly says, Vlad at Organic Grill needs support. Anybody that can possibly go there and sit down and have a nice vegan meal, that would be great. Yes, our beloved sponsors, Organic Grill, who have been with us since the very beginning, they're having a hard time down there on West 4th Street. If you're in the city, if you've been to Organic Grill, if you're visiting, I implore you, please go go down to Organic Grill and get a meal. Support this place. Vlad's a great guy. Their food is incredible. So please, we need to rally and we need to help out Vlad. We're going to be doing an event there coming up, and we got to support Organic Grill. That said, just real quick, also, speaking of support, perhaps you're wondering how you can support the show. There is a Patreon page as well as a PayPal address. But join Patreon. That's how we do it. I want to shout out my latest patrons, Andrew Jones, John Stonheimer, and Brad Irvin. Please, I know a lot of people watch the show. They've been watching it for a long time. Get involved. Put your card down for $2 a month or $5 a month. This show is made possible by you. So please support the show if you can. Let's keep it going. We will keep it going. It is going to keep going. We could use your support. So please, there's a Patreon page. There's a PayPal address there. There's also a super chat function. Great way to support the show. If you have a question, do a super chat thing for a couple bucks. It comes through in the chat room on color. You go right to the front of the line. That said, the jackfruit sandwich is off the hook. 100%. Yeah. And yes, Dom, great shows coming up. Excited for Barry Electric shows this summer. Organic Grill is outstanding. Get down there, peeps. Please. Absolutely. That said, let's clear the deck. Let's bring our guests back on. And let's start. Let's start with Dave's bandmate. Let's welcome Dave's bandmate and principal songwriter in Down by Law. He's also known for his work with Black Valley Moon. Please welcome Sam Williams. Hey, man. Are you froze? Can you hear me? Well, in that case, let's bring Dave Smalley back on.
Yeah, I mean, Sam's in his car and he looks good, but he's frozen.
He's frozen. Well, let me.
Now he's smiling. Are you there, Sammy? Are you hearing us?
Can you hear us? He seems. You know what I'm going to do?
Hey, can you see me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you, but you're.
I can hear you. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, good. The connection's not great, but I know how to
Okay.
deal with it. Welcome to the show.
Yeah.
I'll hand it back to you, so we're not on top of each other. Being your sort of reception's not great
Thank
there,
you.
but let's just jump into it. Tell us about the new Down by Law, Crazy Days. Let me get that up. Tell us about the process of recording it and what's going on with it. Did you get that? Do you hear me? It's like the good old days.
Yeah, man.
It's like the good old day. It's like the good old days in the beginning of the internet.
Yeah. So Sam, just jump in whenever you're good, and we'll just kind of cover for you until you're able to connect. Just don't worry about stepping on us. Just jump in when you're good.
Is Epitaph releasing this, Dave?
No, this is on Cleopatra. So they've released several Down by Law albums, and Sammy has been the main driver of that. Sam wrote the majority of songs on this album, and I'll just tell you one thing. Oh, my Crazy Days vinyl is due to arrive here in Germany tomorrow. Thanks, Fred. I hope you love it. I'm really pretty proud of this album. And Sammy and Sammy, we got him back. You back there, Sam? We got him back.
Can you hear me?
There, Sam? Yeah, we got you.
Drive somewhere where it's a little better reception.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and you have
can you hear
to.
me now?
You can't watch
we
the
got you
show
much
and be
better.
on the show at the same time.
You can't watch the show and be on
the show at the same time.
I'm trying not to. I'm driving actually. So.
Well, so you're not even just like pulled over somewhere. You're actually driving and doing this?
Well, I was pulled over, but the reception was so bad. It doesn't look much better here, but maybe we'll get a few minutes till I have to go back to the venue. But can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome.
Tell us, hey, Sam. Tell us about the process of recording the record. Tell us about the process of recording the record.
Okay, so we started the record a long time ago. We started conceptualizing it because we talked to Kung Fu. They wanted to do another record, and this record had so many setbacks. It took longer to record than like a Judas Priest record. It was crazy. I mean, it was just one thing after another. We had we kind of had a band lineup thing, and then the scheduling didn't work, and then I actually had writer's block for a bit, and then Dave's health, obviously, and then even when it was being mixed, Matt, our the guy that mixes all of our stuff, Matt, his father got diagnosed with terminal cancer and passed away, and it was just one thing after another. So the record took a long time, and it was very I don't want to say high pressure. I don't know exactly what the word is, but we had to make it work. However, we had to make it work. Dave flew down, and we got everything together that way with the vocals, and then it was and then we found the drummer to play on the album, Matt.
Matt's online with us today.
I'm really happy with the way it
Matt's
turned out.
online with us today, Sam.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see him there. Okay, cool. Yeah, he did amazing. So he recorded the drums at his place. Our usual method is just sending demos around to each other. I'll usually then record them to a click track and then send them to the drummer, and the drummer will record drums at his place and send it to us, and we'll go back and forth until we get that right, and then we layer everything on top of the drums after that. So that's kind of how it went.
That makes sense. And one thing, Dave, I got to say, your vocals are really strong on the record, Dave. When did you do these? When did you do the vocals? Because your vocals really have a lot of oomph to them. I mean, I was sort of thinking like, when I listened to the whole thing a couple of times, I was thinking, kind of expecting, like, you know, I know Dave's got some health issues. You know, I'm kind of thinking maybe, but man, your vocals are fucking powerful, man.
Thank you, brother. You know, that is strictly, you know, a blessing, you know, and some good luck, right? So, but it also comes from years and years of, you know, training. Like I said, when I was a kid, I learned how to sing. So I didn't, you know, shred my voice every time I sang, right? So I've been singing since I was a little kid. And so I know how to breathe from the diaphragm and, you know, do what I do. And it's what I do, you know, for better or worse.
Got it. Sam, I got a question for you. Tom A asks, what was the big open white room you were recording in early on that had some pics on Instagram?
So that is a place in a town called Newport Richey that's near here. It's a it's called the Music Gallery. They do a lot of things there. It's run by a friend of mine, a very old friend of mine named Eric, and his wife, and they have shows there, but like all different genres, mainly, you know, jazz, things like that. And Dave flew down, and we had a very limited time to do vocals, and the days fell on the times when my vocal room wasn't available because my family was there. I just wasn't able to arrange it. So we had to find another place, another venue to record for a few days. Not all the vocals were done there, but, you know, probably 4 or 5 songs. And it worked out really cool. It's a cool, really old building down there, and it's got a cool sound, and it was relaxing, you know, even though it was kind of a high pressure situation. We had so much to do in such a little amount of time. So yeah, it was the Music Gallery in Newport Richey. We did several vocals there.
Cool.
It was strange to be doing that, and that was the first vocals that I did. That was the first after getting out of the hospital for cancer and syphilitis. So it was so weird. You talk about surreal moments. That was a surreal moment for me. I'm with my best friend, you know, Sam Williams, and you know, the songs he wrote for this album are insane. And I'm like, oh, I'm just doing what I do, like it was like I've always done my career. But I was like 3 weeks ago, I was in the hospital with wires in me, you know, so it was really a strange feeling. And luckily, you know, thank God it you know, turned out the way it did.
Absolutely. Sam, let me ask you, I see that are you guys this looks like September. Are you guys actually you gonna be playing in September? You gonna be playing in September?
Yeah, we're doing that show. It just came online like the other day, you know. Orlando's right down the road for me. It's not far, and it's kind of a second home base for us at this point. And it just fell into our laps, and man, yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, it's a great bill, huh, Dave? I mean,
it's a great bill, huh, Dave?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it is. It's insane, Bill. Actually, I'm super excited to see all those bands that you can see on that flyer that you just listed. And you know, we've been thanks, Tom A. We've been friends with some of those cats for years. You know, Swingin' Utters, we played with in Japan.
Jackie Grisham's on the bill. Greg Ginn,
so Jack's legend, TSOL legend. You know, the Vandals are an amazing band, especially live. For those who, I'm sure most of your fans have seen the Vandals, but if you haven't, they're awesome. And Dead Kennedys are great, obviously. And so it's a great lineup. I'm super excited for it. Alkaline Trio, you know, you can't beat that lineup.
It's a good one.
It'll be my first time on stage since I got diagnosed. That'll be the first time.
You know, I read a little bit. Like, are you on sort of like an exercise regime, you know, regiment to sort of build yourself back up these days?
I'm trying, yeah. So, you know, I drink a lot of water, you know. not getting an endorsement from Essentia, but I could use it. Actually, I would love that endorsement. But so I drink a lot of Essentia, like it's going out of style. One of the I've had, your organic restaurant is, I mean, that's a huge thing. Your vegan restaurant that you were promoting. I encourage everybody to do that because obviously it goes without saying, but eating well and trying to treat your body right is essential in life. So, hoping DBL makes it back to Salt Lake City. Yeah. Sammy, work your magic.
Yeah. Sam, let me ask you, I think I'd be amiss to sort of not touch on this. Sam, could you give us any perspective on this record kind of years later? Has it aged well for you? Could you give us any take on it?
Man, to me, it's impossible to separate it from this time in my life that was just pure. I don't even know what word to use. It was so great. You know what I mean? It was just, how do you describe that? I from Florida, I'm just in these little local bands, and I fly to Los Angeles and join a band that I already love. I love the first two Down by Law records, and following Dave's career since, Dag Nasty as my favorite singer in the genre, obviously, and 100%. And to be in a band with him on Epitaph Records, and it was completely insane. I might as well have been I might as well have joined Van Halen or something. It was that huge. It was just, and then immediately going on the road with another idol of mine, the whole band. I idolized them, and just meeting one idol after another and playing. It was just, and the music scene for that stuff was just peaking. The 90s punk thing was just doing so well. So that's what I think when I see that album. It's hard for me to even think about it like in any kind of objective way, like the songs. This. I do know that. I know other people's perspective of it for sure. That is like the album for most Down by Law fans. And in a lot of ways it is for me. I feel, I was so green at the time that, you look back on something you did when you were so young as a player or something, or as a writer, and maybe you think it's not the most sophisticated thing you've ever done, but it doesn't matter. These albums, they're worth their place in history is how people perceive them and where everyone was at in their lives. And, that's just one of those albums for me. Almost every other album I can pick apart and say the songs on this one or that one. But this one is like, this is a time for me more than an album,
Yeah, absolutely. Dave, I got to ask you, in doing some of my homework, you guys came into A&M Studio to record this pretty much right after I was in there with Biohazard doing State of the World Address. And is it true that the Rolling Stones were in there recording Voodoo Lounge at the same time as well, and were kind of complaining about the punk rock music?
So I think they were doing Steel Wheels, not Voodoo Lounge, I think. But yes, they were in there, and it was really hilarious because we were hoping to meet them, right? Like that was one of the goals. And Keith Richards was doing his guitar overdubs. Right. And so we all wanted to meet Keith Richards, right? And so I remember he was leaving. Well, first of all, one cool thing to know, this is how big the Rolling Stones were. So Studio A is the biggest studio in A&M Studios, which is, by the way, was a world-class recording facility. Yeah.
And Studio A was where not only where Biohazard recorded State of the World Address, of which I was there for the whole thing from soup to nuts, but it's also where they recorded We Are the World, which that documentary is now, the documentary's out now on whatever it is. So Studio A at A&M is an iconic room. You know it from We Are the World.
We Are the World, and every little thing she does is magic, where you see Sting dancing on the console. That's Studio A as well.
That's right.
So we kept on hoping to meet Keith Richards, and two things that stick out to me. Three things. One, he had all of Studio A. They'd already finished the basic tracks. He was taking Studio A itself, which is a huge recording room, huge. And it wasn't just the whole band. It was Keith Richards just for his guitar overdubs taking over Studio A. We were in a different studio, the smaller studio, and within Studio A, the smaller room. So he had all these amps and things set up. He wouldn't even do most of his stuff. He'd have a guitar tech come in, play for hours with the engineers and the producer getting sounds. And then he would waltz in at 3 p.m. after these other guys have been working for hours. And then he would pick up his guitar. Everything was all dialed in. He didn't have to do any of the hard stuff, but he was Keith Richards, and he would play his licks, be there for like an hour, maybe. And then he'd leave, usually with a girl. And so, so it was very rock star, right? And so like Sam was saying, we're like this little punk band. And, people loved Blue, our album Blue, our second album. And people loved, the first Down Below album, but we were very much not the Rolling Stones, so we were in a little bit of awe watching Keith Richards do his thing. So two things that I remember, we're trying to meet him. There's the first album. And we're trying to meet him. And finally, one day he's going down the hall. And Hunter, our drummer, has a little video camera. I don't know if he still has the video of this, but he's got a video camera. We were just out in the hall. And so Hunter says, "Hey, Keith, say something for the fans." And he turns around without even a hesitation, goes, "Hello, fans." And then turns right back around and leaves. We're like, yes, Keith Richards, you are God, and so just those moments of, and then I remember one other memory. Oh, actually, I wonder if you can see Snuggles, my dog. There he is. There's Snuggles. Snuggles, come here. You're getting me on camera. There he is. That's my daughter's dog. So Hunter went in there. And every day, Keith Richards was given a full carton, not a fresh pack, but a carton of Marlboro Red cigarettes every day. And it didn't matter if he hadn't had any the day before. They went and got him a new carton, a fresh carton every day. So this is what happens when you're at the top of the world of thanks, Gina. He's great. I love him dearly. He was, along with all the friends that have come through for me when I've gotten sick, Snuggles is part of that. So anyway, so he got a fresh carton. Well, one day, Hunter, our rascally drummer, who by the way is a phenomenal drummer, and you hear it on Punk Rock Academy Fight Song. Hunter comes out and he kind of sneaks up, like a guy in Times Square showing you the watches in his coat or whatever, Hunter comes up and he goes, "Guys, look," and he shows us this carton of Marlboro Reds that he went in. He snuck into Studio A and stole the carton for Keith Richards. He stole his cigarettes. And I just remember our engineers and producers, turned white, right? Mike and Alex, they turned like a shade of green mixed with white, terror. And they're like, go put that back immediately. You have no idea. We will all lose our jobs, and the album will be canceled. They were like white and like
it would be like they killed one of ours. We retaliate and level a city.
For sure, yeah. So Hunter grudgingly, he's a punk rock kid, right? He's all right, screw it. All right, I'll go and return it. So he returned the thing. So I just remember those moments very well.
Great. Hey Sam, I know you're on the clock here, but let me ask you about this band and Black Valley Moon. Tell us, give us a little kind of 3-second monologue. Are you doing a Black Valley Moon? Is that a show you're doing tonight? Can you hear me? Yep, I think that's it for him. Yeah. All right.
Well, I'll just chime in until he gets back on, or if he is getting back. But Black Valley Moon is well worth your time as a music fan. They're in the psychedelic surf mode, kind of. Some incredible guitar playing from Sam, and they're all great musicians. Singers are super cool. So I heartily recommend checking out Black Valley Moon. It's a unique experience.
hopefully he'll come back. Chris says, this is the stuff I love, like Judge recording at Chung King with LL Cool J next door. Tell you what, while we're on the subject of A&M Studio, when I was in there with Biohazard recording State of the World Address, Motley Crue was next door.
Nice.
Motley Crue was next door, and those dudes were buck wild. They were actually doing the Motley Crue record that Vince Neil doesn't sing on, which in my opinion is really one of my favorite records they've done. The one with John Corabi. Love that record. And one day Tommy Lee comes into the studio with these Polaroids. And he's like, dudes, check these out. And it was like a whole bunch of, I guess they had a whole bunch of girls in from Crazy Girls or whatever. And it was like a scene, and they're like, check this. And we were like, oh, it was wild. And then, yeah, not Generation Swine. That wasn't Generation Swine. The Motley Crue record they did with John Corabi was called Motley Crue. It didn't really have a name. And then, you know who else was at A&M? Madonna was in there one day, and they came to us and they said, when Madonna comes in, don't look her in the eye. Don't look at her. Clear the way. Do not make eye contact. They gave us this whole speech about Madonna, you know? And we were like, yeah, okay, you know?
Well, I don't know what that was like with those guys, with the, you know, but for us in punk rock, we didn't really follow rules, you know.
Yeah.
We when we did finally get to meet Keith Richards, we jumped on him like locusts in a field. You know, we just, you know, we went right up to him. We had no fear. We went right up to him. We had no fear.
Hey Sam, you're back. Hey, tell us about what's going on with Black Valley Moon, and just give us a little. Tell us about the band and what's going on. Tell us about the band and what's going on.
Appreciate it, man. It's it's just my other project. Is very retro inspired kind of garage stuff. The guitars are kind of rockabilly meets surf, a lot of 60s influences, but mixed with the horror punk thing. One reviewer called us, you know, Dick Dale meets the Damned kind of thing. And we have a couple albums out. We have a new one coming out this year. Yeah, so that's it, man.
Sam, I know you're busy.
I'm sorry.
Sam, I know you're busy.
It's all good, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully you could hear that. Yeah. Some of it. Okay.
Yeah, I did. I got it. Thank you for coming on, Sam. Anybody you want to thank? Anybody you want to shout out? Anybody you want to thank? Anybody you want to shout out?
Dave Smalley, man. Like you said, he killed it on this record, and with all that he was going through, you wouldn't know it. His voice just sounds, you know, that's part of his greatness for real. And I'm talking about him like he's not here, but but you know what I mean. He won't do it half-assed. He won't do it 50%. And when he was recording those vocals, you know, it was full throttle. You know, like it always is. Like, you know, you would never know. And we played a few shows in Tampa before this all went down, and he wasn't feeling the greatest, but his voice is 100,000%. You know, and there's any genre, you know, I'm not even going to say punk or hardcore, any genre, it's the singer has the hardest instrument to age with, and there's so few that do it, that have done it well. You know, Dio sang great up until the end. You know, it's hard to keep singing at that level, but Dave does it, man. So yeah, and this is the first time I've seen him since he's had, like, you know, a lot of really health stuff. So it's good to see it too, man.
Yeah, I want to say, just listening to the record a couple of times over and over, I think my favorites. I like Drink Deep a lot. That's one of my favorites, and I like Not Just You. I like that one. I like that one as well. So I like that one. I like that one as well.
Oh, cool, man.
So
awesome, man. I really appreciate it. And yeah, Keith Richards was great, by the way. The Stones were not mean to us. I think it was Barry Manilow that made fun of us. But the Keith Richards, every interaction was unbelievably cool, man.
He did.
Yeah. And
yeah.
I'm trying to throw all the things
and that's
that
And that's that. Hey, Sam, if you can hear me, thank you for coming on, Sam. We'll catch up with you soon. All right. I had to boot him.
No, it was hard to hear him, unfortunately, but he's a legend, you know.
Yep.
Encourage everybody to obviously check out the new Down by Law record, which I think is a true, it's a grown-up punk record, you know.
Yep.
And that's kind of what always distinguished Down by Law we had some, you know, do that, brr, do that, brr, you know, we had some of that, but Down by Law was always a musician's punk band and sort of a very distinctive band. Kind of like when you look back and you think of bands like, I don't know, like Gang of Four. So when you think of punk rock and early days, you think of obviously the Clash, the Ramones, you know, the Sex Pistols, all that stuff. And then you think of like some of the bands that were coming out right of that era. And I think of a band like Gang of Four. They were attached to it, of that genre. You know, a lot of punk fans, including myself, like the first Gang of Four album changed my life, literally, in terms of world perspectives and some of the things they were talking about. And I kind of think that Down by Law is that sort of a slot within American hardcore and punk. So, you know, a lot of musicianship going on, different kind of lyrics, you know, not a, you know, yeah, there were some funny songs that I love, like We'll Always Do Gruesome Gary, for instance. But 500 Miles, you know, which we took and ruined. Yeah. A lot of the UK subs, but the Stranglers, right? Stranglers are another good one. Yeah, they didn't quite fit in, but they were great, and they did their thing. And I would equate that with DBL.
Yeah, and Public Image, and Gang of Four.
Yeah, PIL, yeah. Gang of Four.
Hey, let's do this. Let's take a quick sponsor break. This is a quick one, and let's come back and let's take some questions from around the world, and let's go at it for a little bit longer. Okay.
All right, brother.
There you have it. It's the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live, episode 328. Our guest today is our old pal, Dave Smalley. So great to see him again on the comeback trail. New Down by Law. The single's been released. Go check it out. The album's coming out. Want to mention a couple of upcoming events. 3 weeks from today, The Big Banger. Free. All ages, Sunday matinee at the Bowery. The New York Hardcore Chronicles proudly presents the Back to the New York Hardcore Roots 50th show. Sworn Enemy, Incendiary Device, it's going to jump off tonight. Cropsey, Redwoods, and Foul Pride. This is the big one. Get your shoes and socks on, kids. It's right around the corner. August 8th, 9th, and 10th is the Savage Mountain Punk Fest. If you were down in the Cumberland, Maryland area, we are playing the second night on Friday, the 9th, along with the Flesh Tones. I will be down there the night before to see Scream and hang out with those guys. So if you are in that area, come on through. Sunday, August 18th, Back to the New York Hardcore Roots at the Barry Electric, free all ages. Fury of Five, Freya, Concrete Ties, Ancient Domains, and Deadshot. Also, this got announced the other day. I will be moderating the Too Much, Too Young, the Two-Tone Record Story book event at Rough Trade in Rockefeller Center, New York. Daniel Rachel will be in town from the UK. He's doing a book tour. I am very excited about this event. I really appreciate being asked to do it. This is a very, very interesting and exciting book. I'm delving into it. I hope that you can make it down on Thursday, September 12th. Yes, there is a live. This is a live event. And then the month before that, on August 11th, he's going to be on the show, on this show. Sunday, September 15th, we just announced this the other day. What a banger. Scream, Rebelmatic, Butterbrain, The Errorists, and Lake Lanier. Holy moly. Sunday, September 15th. Incredible show. All free, all ages. Sunday matinees down at the Bowery, a block away from where we used to have the old CBGB's matinee. If you are If you're watching the show on a rerun, please subscribe to the show. There's a button right there. Please do that. Give the show a like, please. Take the time to do that. Also, follow the show on Instagram at stonefilmsnyc.com. I want to remind you, please, if you get a chance, go down and have a meal at Organic Grill, one of our original and most solid sponsors. They're going through a little bit of a rough patch and could use your support. Any questions you have for our guest, please post up now. Of course, happy birthday to Roger Moret and to Arnie Stone and Lou Koller. We are thinking of you. Post up your questions now. Didn't take me for a ska guy. I'm a music guy. I love music. And although hardcore, American hardcore seems to be my forte, I am well versed in many genres, my friend. So there you go. Let's bring our guest back on, Mr. Dave Smalley. Hey, man.
Hey, brother. Hey, that ska thing, I want to just address that for a second. To I think Rick was his name. Hey, Rick.
Yeah, hold on. Let me put the question up there. And as you address that, I'm going to go grab the book. Here, go ahead.
It wasn't really for me, so I'm kind of jumping in on your question.
No, please, go ahead.
But I want to just paint the picture of 1980-81 for everybody. So we would regularly get in scraps because of how we looked and who we were. And that genre of music, then all of those genres were cutting edge and new. And not many people in the world were listening to even the Clash or legendary bands like that. Remember the Sex Pistols broke up in disarray after having some terrible and relatively small shows. You can't imagine that, right? But they did. And so especially hardcore and ska were brothers or sisters, whatever the term is. We were connected. There was an empathy and a connection between spiritual connection, not necessarily music, but that first Specials record, Madness Selector, the English Beat record, the first English Beat record changed my life. I
always remember you loved the early ska stuff. I remember that.
Yeah, I did, and I had a pork pie hat, that was my I saw a lot of those groups early on, and I'm very fortunate to have done so. I remember being in my car, and I would switch cassettes back when we had cassettes in our cars, right? I would switch cassettes from the first Specials album to the first English Beat record to Madness to Minor Threat to Black Flag to TSOL, whatever, and I would do all these things and go back and forth, and we were all misfits, right? And ska, even though it was huge and the Specials were giant, we're one of the best groups ever, and English Beat went on to have actual hits on the radio and things like that, but back then in 1980. We were all birds of a feather, and we were misfits, and so I would go to high school wearing my pork pie hat and yet a button that said Black Flag on it or whatever, and so there was a connection between those two things.
People keep mentioning the Mighty Boss Tones. And, isn't that wild that, our old friend Dickie Barrett that used to run with us in those days ended up having such a proficient career, sort of like on the cusp of the ska sort of, genre, really pretty wild.
Yeah, absolutely. And Dickie, for those who don't know, drew the first cover of the first DYS record. That's drawn by Dickie Barrett.
Let me find that.
Brotherhood. So, I attribute part of that album, the status that it has attained in hardcore lore, probably in no small part due to Dickie's art. So thank you, Dickie, if you're listening, for drawing that for us. And Chris Corkum also drew a very close contender for that cover, I remember. Because I remember telling him, look, I want to get this cover, and I kind of described how I wanted it to look, and Dickie nailed it. There it is.
Go. Yeah.
And it's just incredible art, and it's so telling and so mythical and draws you in, and you feel like you're one of those four monks, and all this stuff. It's just incredible.
And This was X-Claim number 3, 4. Remember?
I was early on. I don't remember which
Yeah.
number.
Yeah. Good stuff. Let's see. Yeah, it was, yeah. Let's see what else we got. How about, what was the first big live music show you ever went to?
It's a good question. I would say, really honestly, because I'm always honest, right? In the Wayback Machine, I went to see the Doobie Brothers
Nice.
at the Capitol Center in outside of Washington, D.C. I think it's not there anymore. And then I went to see America, Sister Golden Hair Surprise and all that. I saw them.
Sure.
So this is way before there was punk and stuff like that. And I went on a blind date, which didn't go so well. It was like early on. So those were kind of my first shows. And then, I started going more to rock shows and, Alice Cooper and stuff like that. And then simultaneously to that, I started going to, see the early, see the Ramones and some of the early punk stuff. So I kind of started morphing, and heavy metal was always my thing. Heavy metal was a huge part of my life and still is,
Rick asks, do you remember the show that inspired you to write Independence Day?
Yeah, you were there, Drew. I was at the Channel when it kind of broke up into a riot, and I think it was Youth Brigade at the Channel. Youth Brigade from California, not DC. And they were at the Channel, and it turned into a scruff,
a scrum,
a scrum, a scuffle, a fight. And the bouncers were just going bananas at the Channel, just like they did at the Rat when we got in another big fight when SSD was playing at the Channel. Kenmore Square. That
was some, I'll say this, man. I'll never, ever forget, forgive, or glorify the Rat, because I remember when we were there, and I remember what happened, and I remember they worked you over, and a bunch of our people got hurt, and I'll never, ever to this day glorify that place, because the people that worked there were violent and they hurt my friends.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for saying that. I still remember that, because there was about 8 of us, 10 of us who were actual part of the crew and fans. It was very small. And then there were some few curious onlookers, and we started slam dancing and knocked over a table. And all of a sudden the bouncers were just total jerks, and they went berserk on us. And I remember getting lifted off from behind. I got lifted.
And we were teenagers, man. We were young. Yeah. We were teenagers, and they were like boxers, man. They were really big men, and they wanted to hurt people.
Yeah, they did. I remember I weighed about $120, soaking wet, and I remember getting lifted off my feet into the air, and I went wham, trying to get the guy off of me, and just boom, 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 boom. I couldn't even see, and then I remember getting thrown out of the back of the club. And I remember Jamie Sharappa, God love him. He took off his bass, threw his bass down, and tried to come to rescue me and others, and they were getting beat up, and they shoved him back on stage. I could see that while I was fighting with these goons. And then JP, you remember JP? He got thrown out. So I'm lying like this on the ground, bleeding all over from my head. JP's lying like this, facing me. So we're both bloody, bleeding. His eye was completely cut open badly. And we're looking at each other on the ground with all the dirt and the gravel and the glass and the rats, it's called the Rat, and all these things. And we're bleeding all over the place and looking at each other. And I'm like, this is pretty unique, and Katie, the cleaning lady, who is to this day, I love her dearly. And she came and helped rescue us and get us cleaned up and took us to get stitches and took us back to her place. And we played with her rats, Sid and Darby. And and we were, that was the start of a lifelong friendship with her.
Yeah. Like I said, man, I don't care how they shine the light on it or try to glorify it. I remember the Rat a little bit differently. And I remember the fucking violent assholes that hurt my friends, man, for no reason, for no good reason, man.
Yeah. So, it was pretty brutal. And then the same kind of thing at the Channel for during the Youth Brigade show for the song, the Down by Law song, Independence Day, was like that,
What was it like playing with Stefan and Carl and all?
It was great. Obviously, for those who are fans of the Descendants or all, Stefan is one of the greatest guitar players of our era, in our world certainly, and ditto for Carl on bass. And so it was great. They were super talented, good guys, and I think the four of us in all created some really unique stuff, right? Like nobody, kind of like I'm touting the praise of others, not myself, but kind of like what Dag Nasty did. Like Dag Nasty blew open the doors, right?
They did in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
sure.
and Brian wrote those songs. So Dag Nasty kind of blew open the doors musically to a new thing, out of hardcore into this new world. And the four of us, Colin, Roger, me, Brian, was such a unique combo that was able to do that, luckily. And I think I look at all in the same way. Bill Stevenson and the three others of us, but Bill, being the driving force, broke open the doors. It was like, yeah, there's Descendants, there's Black Flag, there's DYS, there's Dag Nasty, here, Heritage, Massacre guys, from Stefan and Carl's side. But this was something new. It was like pop punk. Nobody had really done that. The undertones, you could argue, the undertones from Ireland. And so there was some history for it, but certainly from the American side of things, Billy blew open the doors with that band, and the Descendants, obviously. So, I really am. And again, the all couldn't have been all without Carl and Stefan and Billy.
Sure. Got it. Good question, Paul Stone. And this I think crosses over your entire very proficient career. What's Dave's top 5 songs he's been involved with? His 5 calling card songs.
That is really hard. I've been playing since 1981, so that's a great question, but it's really hard, And I have 5 wonderful children who, by the way, I want to give them all a shout out. I think some of them are tuned in here. And when I was down and out with cancer, my son Griffin came down here and took me to chemo treatments, and my daughter Abigail came and took care of me. And Coulter and his now wife came when I was in the hospital the second time to take care of me. And so, Madeline was checking in on me daily or regularly. So I was very, very, and my little daughter, who's the youngest, and she's here with me now.
And you have 5 kids, right?
5 kids. Yeah. And there's a reason for I'm telling you this story in answer to this question. So my youngest daughter has been my light and life as well through all of this stuff. So why do I say that? Because if you ask me, who's your favorite child, right? Like, of course, I love them all equally. There is no favorite. They're part and parcel of my heart and soul. So when you ask me what's my favorite band, which frequently I get, or what's your favorite song, I can't really pick one out. And also, if I say the wrong one and somebody doesn't hear me giving their song a shout out, they're going to be bummed out, right? So I would just say that I've been really, really fortunate to be in some bands that made their mark, and be in some bands with some musicians that were incredible, and be in some bands that made a difference in a lot of people's lives. That's what mattered to me. So if there's a song or a band, Down by Law, Dag Nasty, DYS, Dave Smalley and the Bandoleros, all, the Sharpshooters, right? Like if there's a band that meant something to you and it helped shape you and take you on a journey, that's great for me. There's Don't Sleep right there with you got Walter right next to me. And
what's happening with Don't Sleep? Is Don't Sleep on hiatus? Is that something you're going to return to?
Yeah, I hope so. I don't know. Unfortunately, we kind of haven't been in touch that much. I think those guys are kind of waiting for me to get better, which I am. They checked in on me as I was getting sick, and we'll see what happens. They're doing another band right now, which I would encourage them to do. Sure. And Jimmy and I, you see Jimmy's right next to between me and Walt. There's me on the left as I'm looking at the screen, me, Walter, and that's Jim Bedorf, the drummer, who's a phenomenal player. And he and I talk all the time. And but you know, we gotta see if we're gonna do something else again. Not sure.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Let's see what else we got as we head down the home stretch. How about this? The future. What looking forward? We're so glad you're back, man. And we're so glad that you're here. Any perspective on the future moving forward?
So on the personal front, just going to continue to try and be healthy. You know, my main goal in life is not to have to go back into a hospital, right? Like, you know, look, the Grim Reaper comes and for everybody, and that's obvious. But, you know, I feel as though that's my main goal, is try to eat healthily, keep on top of what I need to keep on top of. And again, see my old friends, others, you know, that I've known for decades, and new friends that I'm just meeting, put out music that's relevant and changes, hopefully, the world for the better. You know, it's no joke to say that when you're still doing this, you know, we talked a little bit about hardcore being a community and a family, and punk, and, you know, New York hardcore, my brothers and sisters in the New York hardcore scene are my brothers and sisters. I mean, Boston, you know, LA, DC, these are people that have changed my life, and hopefully I've been able to change and impact their lives and others. So just going to keep on doing what I do. Yeah. New York hardcore, you know, and so I'm going to hopefully be able to play again. This, like I say, this show with Down by Law and with Alkaline Trio and all the rest, and TSOL, that's a big one. That'll be a test for me to see how I do on stage.
That's a hell of a show, man.
It is. And
finding that again. Go ahead.
I'm just swimming every day. You know, I got a little pool here, and swimming every day, and trying to build up my strength, and you know, just do what I do.
Well, I guess this is sort of the light at the end of the tunnel that you're working towards, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just encourage.
What's the date? September 14th. What do we got? We got July, August. You basically have 3.5 months, my friend.
Yeah, I should be able, barring catastrophe, I should be able to get out there. And if that one turns out, you know, like we hope, and you know, that I'm, you know, Matt, yeah, I'm bummed you can't play that show too, brother. So Matt Morris, who drummed on the new Down by Law album, did a phenomenal job. And thank you, Matt. He said he's available any other time. I would be ecstatic if you could play that show. Understand you can't, yeah. But anyway, we're going to do that. If that all works, then you know, we'll. I've been on chemo, and I feel you, but we are warriors. Thank you. You know, and I've gotten some really great messages from people who have been through this too. And what's really weird, when I first got diagnosed and when I was going through the chemo and everything, I didn't talk about it on purpose in interviews or on camera or any of that. I told my close friends, you know, and my family, obviously my children, but I didn't talk about it because I didn't want to be a guy who seemed like I was trying to get sympathy, and I also didn't want to bum people out. And I'm a pretty private guy. This interview is in my music room, you know, and so I'm letting you now, Drew, and your fans, like, see this and talk about this. And why? Because I realized as I was going through this that people really wanted to hear how I was doing. And all over the world, people were writing to me, how are you, calling me, you know, sending me care packages, gifts, loving things. And I realized that, first of all, we are one human family. And I wasn't going to be doing this asking for sympathy or any of that. And I wasn't going to be bumming people out. I'm just telling them, and I'm part of their lives, right? Like Dag Nasty, Down by Law, whatever. These are part of people's lives, and they care. They care about me, and they care about what this is. And so These songs have shaped them as much as I've been shaped by you, and so it meant something to me, and it kind of widened my horizons a little bit. And so I've started talking about it now, and what I've gotten is hundreds of messages from people saying, thank you for sharing your story. Absolutely. And in many cases, unfortunately, people saying, I'm going through similar things. Or as somebody just pointed out on the chat line, I've been through this and I made it through. So this kind of mutually reinforcing family of punk people who've been through health challenges, and we all go through it. And I encourage you guys to share as you're comfortable with those around you. And I learned a lot to share with others. So thank you all for being there for me.
Yeah. Dave and Drew, how'd you guys meet? Well, we talked about that at the beginning of the show. I met Dave in 1981 when I went to a place called the Media Workshop in Boston. Dave was at the first hardcore show I ever went to, which was SSD Control's third show in the summer of 1981. And I've known Dave incredibly 43 years now. Dave, I said this to my gal. I said, Dave Smalley is one of the people. I don't think there's nobody else that I've known longer in this hardcore thing. You know what I mean? You were there when I first showed up. You, Jamie, Al, Choke. I mean, I've known you guys since the summer of 1981. We were the 15 guys in that room.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Very special times, and that forms a bond, right? That is unbreakable.
Well, like I said, we were in the trenches together, and we were in the trenches together in 1981. I'll never and we have that bond,
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
James asks, does the Down by Law does the name Down by Law come from the Jim Jarmusch movie?
Yeah, it does. And I got to tell you, we better wrap up because I just got a warning that my battery is going to go out here.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but yes, it does. We stole that bravely. And the funny part about that, Jim Jarmusch, the director, found out there was a punk band named after his movie, and he was absolutely delighted. We were thinking we were going to get sued, and instead he thought it was hilarious. So,
hey, this just in, our old friend Leanna Ness. That's where I met Dave too, at the Media Workshop in 1982. He was napping in the lobby and told me he was from DC.
Perfect.
Dave, I want to thank you for coming on the show, man.
Thank you, brother.
I'm so happy that you're on the comeback trail. You're a big part of me growing up, and I love you, brother. And
I love you too, man.
I'm here. The show's here. Keep us in mind. Maybe when you want to get out, please come up and play one of our Bowery Electric shows. We'd love to have you.
Will do, brother. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Take care. There you have it. Yeah, that was a good one, man. That's our dude, man. That's fucking Dave Smalley, man. Fucking love that guy. Hey, Leanna, how are you, dear? I hope things are... What a great guest. What a great guy. One of the good guys. We were talking about Lou Koller earlier on in the show. Lou Koller, Dave Smalley. They're cut from the same bolt of cloth. Yes, Gina. Yeah, Dave was always like that. Dave was like that when we were kids. When we were teenagers, Dave has always been that guy. That really, really, Dave always cared about other people, man. In a scene that was like everybody was sort of, voguing how tough and hard they were. And Dave was always a very kind, caring person. And, proud to call him a friend. You've been watching the New York Hardcore Chronicles Live. We're sponsored by blah, 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 and the Texas Silver Rush. They're a jewelry design firm and boutique store located in the birthplace of the Texas country music scene in Fredericksburg, Texas. They specialize in working with musicians in all music genres to design and create unique one-off pieces, as well as to style them for stage, album covers, and social media exposure. Their client list includes Rock and Roll Hall of Famers Greg Rollet, Ringo Starr, and of course, Agnostic Front. Information and online sales are being taken at their Facebook and Instagram pages, and of course, www.thetexassilverrush.com. Last but not least, 126 Hardcore Clothing. They're a streetwear brand for restless individuals who don't compromise. They're about being positive, spontaneous, and true to yourself. For years, they experimented with several printing methods and materials and collaborated with a large number of designers and illustrators, always getting room for fresh perspectives while retaining the hardcore attitude. Don't care what they may say, we got that attitude. Get in touch with them, ramp up your game at www.126clothing.com. Hey, just a reminder, 1 week from today, while we're on sort of this Boston hardcore thing, Leanna, Larry Kelly, all our Boston friends, spring is going to be on the show, and it's going to be wild. So that's happening 1 week from today. So lots going on, lots of great shows lined up, lots of great Bowery shows. Please, if you can, go down and to Organic Grill and support them. Please support our good friend and supporter Lou Koller with his GoFundMe. Happy birthday, Arnie Stone. Happy birthday, Roger Moret. Is that right, Chris? Great episode. Don't get to watch live often. This was a treat. Well, great to have you back, Chris. I appreciate it. When is Rat on the show? Which Rat? Which Rat are we talking about? Rat Bones? Rat from the Verrucers? Which Rat? There's a couple of rats out there. Kenny Clark, what's up, man? Thanks, bro. I appreciate it. Yes, Steve, Dave is the best. Want to see him on stage again soon. Yeah. Like I said in the intro, what did I say in the intro? In the intro, the golden voice of hardcore. It's true. Dave Smalley is really the golden voice of hardcore. Rat from the Verrucers. I guess we sort of dropped the ball on it. I have to revisit it. I have like 5 people that are sort of waiting to come on the show. I got a couple of things, I got it with the schedule. Of course, we have a couple of people already. So yeah, I got to revisit Rat from the Verrucers. That said, I think we're good. Thank you, everyone. Please support the show if you're thinking about it. Let me just run it again. The Patreon page. Please, show needs support. We're not going anywhere. Support the show. That said, I'm always busy, bro. I'm like a shark. I have to keep, moving forward, or I sink to the bottom. Thank you, Leanna. Yeah. Hey, I want to shout out my girlfriend Rochelle, who I think is at home watching, soon to be fiance. I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, Drew. I appreciate it. Thank you, Andrew. Streaming live. That's right. And everybody else. Very good. Great show. Let's clear the deck. I think we're good on everything. Thanks a lot. Here we are all these years later. Very, very fortunate. Still love doing the show. Thank you so much. Yeah, you'll hear about it once I get engaged. Believe me, it's going to be a spectacle. It's going to be quite a spectacle. You can count on that. Till next we meet, my friends, do good things, and good things will come to you.
Conditioned by indoctrination, conditioned by society. You're a victim of the digital age, a 21st century casualty. Over your eyes.